come on and sit with me by this little light of grace while we have a little discussion about Elden Ring's difficulty and the difficulty of the DLC. Now, I am fresh off Twitter. Well, by fresh I mean like an hour. And all the negativity I see regarding the difficulty towards this game and its DLC is bugging me. And it's bugging me because it doesn't make sense. And honestly, if this video offends you, you are the person that honestly needs to hear this. From Software has never been known to make games that are not challenging. Their games are created with a purpose, and that purpose is for us to overcome a challenge using whatever tools we have at our disposal, be it spirit summons, be it inviting your friends, or be it looking up a guide on YouTube, or watching Fighting Cowboy while you play through the game. All those are valid playstyles. And you have two groups of people who complain about the difficulty of the DLC, as far as I've seen. If there are more, please correct me. But you have the elitists who refuse to use spirit summons because they think it is a cheese or a cheat. And they like to challenge themselves with level 1 runs and you know what have you. The elite group of players who are also toxic. I should phrase it, let's call them the toxic elite of From Software. Right? You have those people complaining about the difficulty. And then you have the newcomers to the From Software catalog of games. And these newcomers were most likely pulled in by Elden Ring and its success in 2022. And don't get me wrong, Elden Ring took the world by absolute shitstorm. It stunned everyone, it maddened developers from other companies because the game was not supposed to do so well, according to all of them. Now, then you have a select group of people who appreciate every single piece of work From Software put into their games. And that is the spirit summons. That is the NPC summons, the other player summons, the messages you see all around the world in From Software games. That is guides on YouTube from, Bandai Namco. We even have people that they sponsor like Fighting Cowboy who literally holds your hand and takes you through the games. Those are all valid playstyles. And those are the people who appreciate the DLC. The people who complain about the difficulty, this is where I don't get you. Like I said, From Software is not known for making games that are not challenging or difficult, if you could use that word. I don't really want to, but that is the word that is being thrown around. What did you expect? They have years and years under their belt of making games that are challenging to a niche group of people. Let's be honest, not many people liked Dark Souls when it initially released. Not many people liked Bloodborne when it initially released, except for the fact that Bloodborne is still only a PS4 exclusive or PlayStation exclusive. But that's the point. This has always been for a niche audience. Not everyone is going to look at this game and think, wow, that is a great game. And they shouldn't. You shouldn't expect people to think like that. But Elden Ring came out and was, I would say, like 60% more accessible than all of their previous titles. And all of their previous titles were like locked in to a point where I think From Software listened and they decided, all right, we're going to give these guys a tutorial cave when they start out the game to learn them which buttons to press and so on, so that they don't need to look at the messages on the floor rather to see the tutorial. Because that is how they did it in Dark Souls 1, in 2, in 3, in Bloodborne, in Demon Souls. You had your tutorial laid out on the first, say, hallway that you walk down. That was your tutorial. Elden Ring came out with a Cave of Knowledge for the newcomers. Elden Ring is an open world game, so if you hit your head against a boss, you can always go away from that boss, go do something else in the world, get stronger, and then come back, where that was not nearly as flexible of an option in the previous titles. So Elden Ring is a lot more accessible, and that flooded in new traffic. But now the newcomers and the elitists are complaining about the DLC's difficulty because From Software got better at developing their bosses and honestly had become much more creative in the challenges that they present and the ways that we can overcome said challenges. And then the elitists and the newcomers who refuse to use the tools at their disposal or that expected the game to be easy are complaining about the difficulty. And that is not your place to complain, honestly. This game is not meant for everyone. There was a quote I heard from, I can't remember, it's a developer from another studio, and he said that a game for everyone is a game for no one. And sadly, you guys are struggling to grasp that. If you really appreciate From Software's work, you will recognize that there are certain bosses in their games that are absolute bullshit. I mean, Gaius has a crap hitbox. You can't fight Commander Gaius to a 100% fairness level, because his freaking ball will hit you long after you've passed through his frame. Or like the Deathbirds. The Deathbirds are horrendous creatures to fight. But they're not unfair. They are very difficult, and I myself am always struggle against them, even when using holy damage and what have you. Alright, there are definitely places in these games that many people would agree is bullshit. But it is still a game that the people who really appreciate From Software's work fall in love with. The DLC has mechanics in place for you to get stronger and complete it with less of a difficulty curve. And if you decide you're going to do a Skaru Blessing 0 run and a level 1 run at that and complain about the difficulty, then that is not a fair criticism, and I honestly think you have no right to talk about the game's difficulty in that sense. Or if you are a newcomer expecting it to be an Assassin's Creed game or a Horizon game where your hand is being held across every single nook and cranny in the game, you are very much mistaken. Alright? That's not your place to complain about it. You can criticize it all you want. Your opinion and your experience is valid, but please look at it through a fair lens. If you came into this expecting it to be less challenging or at least equally challenging to the base game, you are mistaken. And if you do not like the new mechanics they implemented and you refuse to use them, you are mistaken to believe that it is too difficult, because if you use the mechanics at your disposal, it is not too difficult. So please, stop complaining. I don't know how many people is going to hear this. I'm a very freaking small channel, not even relatively. I'm very freaking small. But if this video reaches a wide enough audience, please listen. If you are offended by this video, listen to it again and hear what I have to say. Go listen to other people who also is trying to put a stop to the complaints about the game's difficulty. Alright? My second run through the DLC, I beat Renala to the ground on my first attempt. I beat Radahn to the ground on my first attempt. It is just a matter that you need to learn what the game is trying to teach you. If you are refusing to learn it or refusing to use the mechanics at your disposal, or if you are expecting it to be a run-at-the-mill AAA game, rest assured, this is not it. And I can guarantee you, with the success From Software has gotten from Elden Ring and its DLC, their future titles are not going to be easier. So If you don't like it, get out now and stop complaining. Thank you.